Hello and welcome to Motown Centimeter. Earlier this year, Mahindra & Mahindra formed a mobility services unit consolidating its shared mobility business, used car segment and the logistics division as well. It is headed by the former CFO of the Mahindra Group, V.S. Parthasarathy. M&M has already outlined shared mobility and first choice fields as unlisted gems or growth unicorns for the future, and there are at least 10 companies which Mahindra & Mahindra would like to list in the next 2 to 5 years. Mahindra, through its shared mobility business, is focused on enterprise mobility and serving corporate clients. The company believes that due to COVID-19, there will be a shift from mass transit systems to private cabs. This is why Mahindra subsidiary Meru Cabs recently launched the Meru Reserve feature. Sale of used cars from Mahindra First Choice increased 10% year-on-year in October, and the company will be investing in making its used car segment a more technologically driven platform. Mahindra has recently opened 50 new First Choice outlets, taking the total number to more than 1,000. Mahindra Logistics, a listed entity which serves over 400 corporates in automobile, engineering, consumer goods and e-commerce, saw a 31% jump in net profits in Q2. Joining us now to talk about this new mobility services unit and Mahindra's expansion plans for shared mobility, used car sales and logistics is Mr. V.S. Parthasarathy, the president of Mahindra's mobility services sector. Sir, thank you very much for joining us here on CNBC TV18. Our first question, explain to us the importance of this mobility services unit in Mahindra's larger growth strategy.
Thank you, Parikshit. I'm very delighted to be here to talk about this exciting sector that we have formed. About a year back or so, as the thought process was going on, the group thought that when it came to services and solutioning for the customer, as opposed to product and solutions, we needed to create a separate, almost like A does A and B does B. And therefore they formed this sector and then asked me whether I would lead it, and I was delighted to. And that's how this sector was formed, and I took over from 1st April. Just give you a little bit of background about the sector. What is MSS sector or mobility services sector? I define it as transforming India by connecting people, places and assets, and in a sense it fits right into the Atmanirbhar Bharat goal. Okay, but when it comes to business, we have to be a little bit more also value creating mindset. So the goal I set is we should be 20,000 crores by 2025. So a 20,000 crore market cap business, an independent mobility business in a futuristic landscape, and which will look at both organic and inorganic path and how do we synergize everything. Okay, and you rightly defined the pieces. I call it the MaaS, TaaS and VaaS, which is mobility as a service, transportation and logistics as a service, and vehicle as a service, or used car market, which you called it. So these three put together. And recently you saw an article in which Anish Shah, our Deputy MD, talked about two unicorns being, there's two big companies, billion-dollar bets, which will get listed in the medium term, which is used car market space, MFCW, as well as mobility as a service. So these two are the unicorns. Logistic is already a listed company, so now there we have to go double. So we want to build all these into big pieces, and that's why it's very exciting to be here.
No, absolutely, sir. Just to speak about the listing of future companies, when you speak about the listing of the services sector, are you speaking about a listing for the shared mobility space specifically within the Mahindra Group and a separate one for the used car business?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So let me try and answer. The way the group has looked at it is 10 of its companies has the potential to get listed in the medium term and creating billion dollar market cap for the group. Okay. So 2 of those are falling within my sector. So let me speak about them. One is, like you rightly said, mobility as a sector, which is in terms of shared mobility, yeah, in terms of enterprise mobility, which is what we are majorly focused on, this space. Okay, so there we have Alight, which is one business which is housed in logistics. There is Meru, which is a company that we have got on it, and there is another initiative called as Glide. So all these three put together we can combine this and make it $1 billion business. And that's what, and list them. So that's the, about the mobility side. Coming to the used car side, MFCW or Mahindra First Choice Wheels is a company which is doing very well. It is already a leader in the physical space as well as the parts of the digital space. And we would like to create that as the biggest, fastest growing tech company in India in used car space. And that would be another listing candidate in the medium term. So these are the two candidates from our side for listing in the medium term.
Okay, now just to speak about the shared mobility space, sir, you're saying that in the coming years, you would like to consolidate Alight, Meru, Glide, make this $1 billion enterprise. We believe that Meru currently is looking out for funds to the tune of 350 to 500 crores. Do you think these future rounds of investments for Meru are going to come through an IPO? And when you're speaking about an IPO for the shared mobility space, how soon can we see that, sir?
Okay. So first and foremost is that I think that figures that you threw must be something that you know. I certainly don't know anything like those figures. But to very specifically put, we are looking in the shared mobility space. We are the biggest even today when it comes to enterprise mobility in terms of the number one in India. What we would like to do is to become a very, very big number one, yeah? So 3 to 4 years from now, and be the top 3 players in the mobility sector in whatever form they are, being the top amongst the top 3 mobility players in India. So this is what is the vision. As we go, we will need some money. We have various kind of things, Alight, Meru, and Glide. We will like to consolidate from a market point of view, how we do this, and then build them up. So, and if any money is required in the process, we will first go to the private equity to take it, and in the medium term, like I said, we can get to listing. So listing is few years away, but that's why I call it the medium term. Yeah. So it's not that tomorrow, but it's certainly in the medium term, and we would like to be part of the value creation that the group is trying to focus on.
Would you also like to bring the Zoom car business? Mahindra has an investment in Zoom car. Would that also be brought in the ambit of shared mobility?
Thank you very much for bringing in, because this needs clarity. Over and above the businesses that I handle, we also have invested in a couple of businesses. One business is Zoom cars. One business is called Porter. Okay, these are entrepreneur-driven and entrepreneur-led businesses, and what we would like to do is we have invested in those businesses. We would like to give them guidance and support, and probably be on the board, and to the extent from a board point of view guide them. But we would like them to leave them on their own to grow, because they are different, very specific segments. Zoom car is in self-drive. Porter is in intra-city logistics. So we would like them to focus on that and create value for us. So that investment will be looked at as an investment. And in Meru, in Zoom, in Meru, in Alight, and in Glide, we would like to be in a position of in the driver's seat as a corporate driving it. There we will let the entrepreneurs drive it, and we will be behaving like investors. So that's the big difference between the two.
Now coming to First Choice, now this is a business that Mahindra has been very bullish on. I think you have 1,025 outlets across the country. Recently, you added 50 outlets to the First Choice enterprise. Now, in terms of further expansion, in terms of getting money from the markets, going for a listing, do you think this could be perhaps one of the sooner ones among those 10 growth gems in the Mahindra group?
So, आपके मुंह में घी शक्कर. But basically, how we are looking at it is that our vision, like you rightly pointed out, is become India's largest, fastest growing, and most valuable auto tech business. This is the vision. Okay. And just to give a perspective, our strategic priority is, like you said, we have 1,000 plus physical channels. Now, what we want to do is we want to create into a phygital channel where digital comes in and tech comes in as a differentiator. We are working very hard on this. Second is we are growing B2B portfolio very strong and very this. So whether any finance company, when it thinks of any service, then they should think of Mahindra First Choice Wheels, whether it is in terms of yard service, whether inspection, whether auction, everything in the used car space, they can depend on First Choice Wheels. And recently we acquired Car and Bike, and we want to build it as India's largest transactional auto portal, and setting it as a vehicle for expansion in future to B2B2C and then B2C as time comes on. Okay, we had raised about 15 million in 2018. We have used it very frugally, invested to get everything that I'm talking about, and we still have a lot of money of that left. So, but there is a huge amount of future growth which is possible. So if any money is required, we'll go to the market and get that money. The immediate one is to seek private equity kind of funding, and then in the medium term, like I said earlier, we will go for it. So the medium term I define between 3 to 5 years. Yeah. So that's the kind of.
So it's not possible that Mahindra would go for a listing for the used car business in the next 1 year or so. It won't happen before the next 3 years, sir?
In life, everything is possible. But this is what I told you is what is our game plan in terms of looking at building the business, so that when we go to the market gets very excited and we go in as $1 billion bet.
On that note, we take a short break. When we return, we will speak to VS Parthasarathy about plans to increase EVs in Mahindra's shared mobility fleet. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching Motown Centimeter. In September, Uber announced that it will go 100% electric in the Canadian, American and European markets by 2030. Mahindra & Mahindra has said that its growth in shared mobility will have an EV focus. Also, how is the logistics business faring during the COVID-19 pandemic? Mr. Parthasarathy, Uber plans to go 100% electric in certain markets by 2030. Does Mahindra have any such plans for Meru and its shared mobility business in terms of increasing the percentage of electric vehicles in its fleet?
Okay. Thank you for that question, and it's very important. We are talking, when we talk about our mobility, we're talking about 5S, which is shared, smart, solution-led, and sustainable. So sustainable is a very important part. We have added a 5th S now, which is safety. So this 5S will be our basis of working with our clients and customers and corporates as we go through. And our biggest thing is to work with our clients to say how do we reduce the carbon footprint for everyone. And therefore, we will work on smart, sustainable solution and go far from that. We have already invested in 250 EVs in our fleet ahead so that we can lead this and show that commitment to the EV led. So we will very much be focused on sustainable development. And I don't see a problem in us very quickly scaling up with our customers to our fleet becoming 20 and 30%. So whether I will be 100% by 2030 or earlier is a question of pace of adaptation, but that's the trajectory all of us are moving to.
Okay. Now, sir, just to ask you about the used car space once again, we have seen a spike in used car sales ever since the COVID-19 pandemic struck us. So what has been the rise in sales that you've witnessed compared to last year?
Thank you. Thank you for asking that question. Again, Parikshit, I just digress slightly and then give. So we see 3 kind of business, almost like the 3-speed economy that some economists spoke about. I see 3-speed business here. Some businesses which are 60%, some which are 100, and some which are 140. And I'm delighted that our used car space is more towards the 140 zone. It's seen growth over previous year. Our logistic business is also showing growth similar to that, but your question was specific to used car. Used car has in fact shown this. We have already started showing growth over previous year. So pre-COVID is achieved and now growth is being achieved. We are seeing a propensity for used car, and there were some bit of issues which we are having because moratorium was extended by finance companies, so the repossession had kind of stalled for a while. Now that is also started to come. So even without that, there was growth, but we see the spurt in growth even higher as we go forward. So I think it is very good, economy and very good environment for used cars to grow very fast, and we will be right up there doing our best to grow that faster than the market.
And sir, once this moratorium is lifted, do you expect more cars to be auctioned by NBFCs and also banks?
Yeah. So what had happened is, let me explain that moratorium for a minute. So what happens is, when you give moratorium, of course, you are not repossessing the vehicle. Once the moratorium is done, those who want to return their vehicles and those repossessions which normally happen in due course will again start as a process, and it has started. So therefore, our input comes out of some of these repossessed cars. This is a source of our input. So therefore, that input increases, so therefore supply becomes available for resale in the market. And that's what I was speaking to you. And yes, that has started already, and now it is on even keel. So therefore, we are getting supplies from that front, and we can see more growth in the used car market because this is now normal situation, even for repossessions.
Okay, and my final question would be, sir, about the logistics business. You in a tweet recently had said that this is a business that will become a unicorn, a growth unicorn very soon for the Mahindra Group. Anish Shah had said that, and even Anand Mahindra has spoken about the fact that they will be, in the long run, focusing on businesses which have a strategic value for the Mahindra Group or an 18% return on equity. How are you going to achieve that for the logistics business, and what are the expansion plans?
Very good. Thank you. So first is that we have set ourselves a very clear target, and this is part of our annual report. We said that our 2026 goal is to be 10,000 crores logistics service provider business. We are about 3,000 crores. So we need to grow about 3.5x to go there. And we're looking at both organically and through partnership to go there. And our focus areas will be consumer, pharma, e-commerce, along with what we already do very well, which is auto and auto engineering and so on. But we also expand offerings in express logistics, freight forwarding, contract manufacturing, and multimodal logistics. So we're doing, and then from a customer point of view, we are going higher in the value chain by integrated solutions. Give an example is, all the e-commerce require higher warehouse space and higher delivery support during season time. And the higher means 5x type of growth as compared to normal. So if you offer an integrated solution, what we call as a pop-up centers, so then we can cater to them. And we are doing all that and focusing on digital and operational excellence. So all this should put us in right stead for delivering all that you talked about, and 18% plus ROE, being a value creator for the group. And if we do achieve what I said we achieve, the market will obviously, we are a listed company already. Our market cap may be around 3,000 crores and our revenue is 3,000 crores. So if you go to 10,000 crores, and I would like half of my market cap of the 20,000 crore vision which I laid out to come from this sector. And that's what I'm hoping all that we are doing will enable us to do. So we are clearly well positioned. Our initiatives are well underway, and we see value creation happening at this level. Already to say a few things, that in the e-commerce and the consumer space, even in Q2, we grew more than 16%. Our warehousing and value-added services grew by close to about 20%. So these are all Q2 figures. And the Q2 was the dull figure, as you know, and after that it has started now coming in. We are even hoping to grow faster during Q3 and that. So already it's moving even with pandemic in the right direction, and it will only accelerate as things get back to more normal.
All right, Mr. Parthasarathy, we've completely run out of time. Thank you for joining us to talk about Mahindra's plans for shared mobility, used car sales, and the logistics division as well. That's it on Motown Centimeter. Keep watching CNBC TV18 for more news and updates.